Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Who are the best Steelers wide receivers of all time? Vote now. In case you missed it, Behind the Steel Curtain is assembling the ultimate all-time Steelers roster as voted on by you, Steelers fans. Every weekday leading up to training camp, we'll be posting a poll for you to vote for the best players at each position. The final all-time Steelers roster will be officially unveiled on Wednesday, July 24th, the day before Steelers' 2024 training camp kickoff. Next up in the roster selection process is the wide receiver position. Here, you'll have the option to select two of your favorites for the all-time list. There are some obvious candidates in the mix, including Hines Ward, the all-time receiving leader, having totaled 1,000 receptions for 12,083 receiving yards over 14 seasons with the black and gold. He's one of just 14 receivers in NFL history with 1,000 career receptions, a 4x Pro Bowler, 2x Super Bowl champion, 1x SB MVP. He's still seeking his induction into the NFL Hall of Fame, though he's been a semi-finalist year over year. There's also the likes of John Stallworth, who doesn't meet Ward's level of statistical contributions necessarily. The 3x Pro Bowler and 1x All-Pro sits with 4 Super Bowl rings in his collection, having played an integral role in 2 of those wins. In Super Bowls 13 and 14, Stallworth had a combined 6 receptions for 236 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns, including 2 73-plus-yard scores. Then, there's Antonio Brown, who probably rounds out the list of most obvious candidates for the honor. He ranks second all-time in targets, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns, only behind Hines Ward, despite playing just 130 total games with the franchise. His 84.2 receiving yard per game average ranks third all-time. Unfortunately, he didn't leave the franchise on the best of terms. The Pittsburgh Steelers made 2 of the most noteworthy acquisitions of the offseason when they signed quarterback Russell Wilson to a 1-year deal and followed that up by trading for quarterback Justin Fields. Head coach Mike Tomlin has made it clear that Wilson has pole position, but that Fields will be given a fair chance to compete for the starting job. We saw that competition begin throughout OTAs and mandatory minicamp, and it will resume in 2 weeks when the Steelers take the field for training camp in Latrobe. Everyone seems to have their own opinions about what the Steelers will look like this season, and what their new quarterbacks are capable of. I was joined by former NFL All-Pro Shawne Merriman on the pump fake and asked his thoughts on the Steelers and Wilson. "I think he won't be starting by week 4, Merriman said. "He's gonna win the starting job in camp because he's smart. One thing about Russell Wilson is he's always been smart with the football. That's always been his thing. He makes great decisions. So he is going to win in training camp, he's going to win the job. He's a great salesman. I think he's one of the best at just dealing with the media, staying positive, saying all the right things, doing the right things, the ultimate salesman. And when it comes time to play football, we'll see who he really is. Even now, he's working out during the offseason. He looks amazing. He looks like the Russell Wilson we've seen in Seattle. Again, selling the hell out of himself. But we all know when football really starts how that can change quickly. Wilson had a very good offseason program and was the best quarterback on the field for Pittsburgh, but Fields continued to improve throughout OTAs and minicamp. We'll see what training camp and preseason action have in store for the Steelers and their 2 quarterbacks. Asked and answered, July 4th. With the NFL going into summer vacation mode in advance of training camps opening later in July, Asked and Answered will join the trend and take a 2-week hiatus. The next installment of Asked and Answered will appear on Steelers.com on Tuesday, July 23rd. Alonso Gomez, from Puebla, Mexico. Which trade do you think was the best in the history of the Steelers, Troy Polamalu, Jerome Bettis, or Minkah Fitzpatrick? Answer. First, let's begin with the details of each of the 3 trades you reference in your submission. On April 20, 1996, which was draft day that year, the Steelers acquired Jerome Bettis and St. Louis number 3 pick in the 1996 NFL Draft in exchange for their number 2 pick in the 1996 NFL Draft and their number 4 pick in the 1997 NFL Draft. On the first day of the 2003 NFL Draft, the Steelers traded their number 1 pick, 27th overall, their number 3 pick, 92nd overall, and their number 6 pick, 200th overall, to Kansas City for the Chiefs' number 1 pick, 16th overall, which was used to select Troy Polamalu. On September 16, 2019, the Steelers traded a number 1 pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, a 5th-round pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, and a 6th-round pick in the 2021 NFL Draft to Miami in exchange for Minkah Fitzpatrick, plus the Dolphins' number 4 pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, used to select guard Kevin Dotson, and the Dolphins' number 7 pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, used to pick safety Trey Norwood. The trades that brought Bettis and Polamalu to the Steelers each added an all-time great player and someone who would end up being inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Since Fitzpatrick's career is not over and his story is still being written, I would eliminate that trade from consideration as the best in franchise history at this point. In addition to being great players, both Bettis and Polamalu were great teammates, great members of the community, outstanding human beings, all-time greats for a franchise that has sent 28 of its members into the Hall of Fame. Identifying the acquisition of one as being better than the other, I believe, comes down to a personal opinion, and I wouldn't disagree with a personal opinion that might be different from mine. But I'm going to pick the Bettis trade, because he was such an out-front leader for all of his 10 seasons with the Steelers that even during his Hall of Fame acceptance speech Polamalu referred to Bettis as his mentor. Steelers rival could cut All-Pro CB. The Pittsburgh Steelers have had to deal with Baltimore Ravens cornerback Marlon Humphrey since 2017. The first-round pick of the Steelers' rival has been a menace since arriving in the NFL, establishing himself as one of the league's premier cornerbacks. At age 27, he's recorded 13 career interceptions and 76 passes defended over 100 career games. His model of consistency earned him a massive, 5-year extension worth $97.5 million in 2020. The deal was a fantastic decision when signed, giving the Ravens team control over a top, young CB in the NFL. 4 years later, the Ravens and Humphrey are on the cusp of a breakup. He's worked through injuries in the past few seasons, and it's impacted his ability on the field. Last season, he was limited to just 10 games, and the Ravens went on to have one of their best team defenses in years. They led the league in sacks, points allowed per game, and takeaways, even without a ball hawk and fumble forcer like Humphrey available. Because of this, Jeff Zrebiec of The Athletic thinks Humphrey needs a huge year to remain on the Baltimore Ravens. Otherwise, he could be searching for a new employer in 2025. Humphrey still has 3 years remaining on the extension he signed with the Ravens during the 2020 season, Zrebiec writes. However, this fall could significantly impact his future in Baltimore. The 27-year-old is a 3-time Pro Bowl selection, but he's struggled to stay healthy in 2 of the past 3 years, and he's not consistently making the impactful plays he did earlier in his career. With his cap number rising north of $25 million next season, Humphrey probably needs a bounce-back season to remain with the Ravens in 2025 and beyond. The Steelers would be thrilled to see their rival's leader on the secondary have another tough season. The 2 teams will face off twice in 2024, and either side will take any advantage they can over their divisional foe. Humphrey is looking to have a bounce-back year as the Ravens' top defensive back, but the Steelers are hoping they can put the dagger in his tenure in Baltimore. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Marlon Humphrey? Leave your opinion in the comments.